Hallo meine liebe Studenten und Freunde, wie geht es euch? Ich bin Jatinder Singh auf meinem YouTube-Kanal The German Mentor. In today's session, I will explain you what is the difference between su plus infinitive and su plus infinitive. Watch the complete video, give your comments, your feedback after watching this session, and do not forget to subscribe the channel by pressing the bell icon, and you will get the notifications of all the upcoming videos from my side. So let's start today's session. Los kids. So as I have just told you that we are going to learn in this session what is the difference between su plus infinitive and su plus infinitive. So first I'll explain you the first one, su plus infinitive, with random phrases and examples, and later on I'll explain you su plus infinitive in detail. So first, how and when to use su plus infinitive. So before learning su plus infinitive in detail, I'll share some important points which you have to keep in mind while making the phrases or sentences. So what are those points to remember while making sentences with su plus infinitive? I'll explain you one by one. The first one is su is used before an infinitive verb to answer the question was. Friends, you know that was is one of the W family quotients in German language, which means what. So any questions which is being asked with this W family quotient was, then we use su plus infinitive, right? So don't worry, I'll explain you one by one in the coming slides with phrases. It is not used with modal verbs. You know that we have 7 modal verbs altogether in German language, and I have written some of them: können, müssen, wollen, etc. So modal verbs are different grammar topic. So this su plus infinitive grammar term we don't use with modal verbs. The third point which you have to keep in the mind, the infinitive verb with su goes at the end of subordinate clause. So in the next slide, when I'll explain you main clause and the subordinate clause, so you will see this part in the coming examples. And the fourth point which you have to learn, some verbs always require su before an infinitive. So I have written some of them. Example: beginnen, versuchen, vergessen, hoffen and planen. So in the next slide, I will explain you one by one with some sentences. Beispiele, the first one, su plus infinitive, right? See the first question which I have written here, was hast du vergessen? For example, one of my friend is asking from me, was hast du vergessen? So this question has been asked with W family quotient was. So friends, remember one thing, any questions being asked with W family quotient was, then you have to use su plus infinitive concept. So I have written here as an example, ich habe vergessen die Tür zu schließen. Was habe ich vergessen? Ich habe vergessen ein Objekt, die Tür zu schließen. I forget to close the door. So you have to put the main thing of word question in the main clause, and after that you have to put a comma and the subordinate clause. So in the subordinate clause you have to put su plus infinitive at the end of the phrase. So this is the concept of this grammar part, right? Second example, I have written here, was versucht er. Er versucht, das Problem zu lösen. He's trying to solve the problem. So you can see here su plus infinitive goes at the end of the phrase, at the end of the subordinate clause, and the verb, the main verb being used in the main clause. Er versucht, main clause, das Problem zu lösen, that is subordinate clause. Was plant sie? Sie plant im Sommer nach Spanien zu reisen. She plans to travel to Spain in summer. So in this example you have seen that sie plant, this is the main clause, and rest of the part comes in the subordinate clause with su plus infinitive at the end of the phrase. Infinitive means, friend, you don't need to conjugate the verb, right? So after su, that verb comes in the pure form, in the infinitive form. So for your better understanding, I have mentioned here su plus infinitive always comes at the end of the subordinate clause. Now see some more random examples. Was hofft er? Er hofft, seine B1-Prüfung zu bestehen. He hopes to pass his B1 exam. Was hat Frau Müller nicht? Frau Müller hat keine Zeit, mit dir zu sprechen. Mrs. Müller does not have time to talk to you. Noch ein anderes Beispiel. Was fängt sie an? Sie fängt an, ein Buch zu lesen. She is starting to read a book. So in this example, I have used one fremdparent verb, anfangen. You know that When we use a separable verb, a trennbaren verb, we need to separate the prefix and put at the end of the sentence. So was fängt sie an? Sie fängt an, ein Buch zu lesen. And the last example of zu plus infinitive grammar part was hofft Anna. Anna hofft bald ihre Eltern zu treffen. Anna hopes to meet her parents soon. So in these four random phrases, friends, I have also mentioned this part. Zu plus infinitive always come at the end of the subordinate clause. So friends, that was about zu plus infinitive. You have seen that any question being asked with W family question was, then you need to use zu plus infinitive, right? Now we come to the next part, that is how and when to use zu plus infinitive, how it is different from zu plus infinitive grammar part, right? And now I'll explain you the points which you have to remember while making sentences with zu plus infinitive. It is different from zu plus infinitive. How? Zu is used to express a specific purpose or goal, which means in order to, and it answers the question warum. So friends, when you doing any task and there is a specific purpose or goal behind those tasks, then you use zu plus infinitive, right? And it answers the question warum. Earlier we have seen that zu plus infinitive answer the question was. Second point, the main clause and the purpose clause must have the same subject. So while making sentences or phrases, the main clause and the subordinate clause having the same subject, it cannot be different. The third point which you have to learn, the infinitive verb always goes at the end of the zu clause. So I'll explain you one by one. And the third point which you have to remember, unlike zu always indicates a clear intention or goal. So friends, when you are doing some task and there are some purpose behind those tasks, then we use zu plus infinitive as compared to zu plus infinitive. So now I explain you some examples and random phrases with zu plus infinitive. The first one, warum lernen Sie Deutsch? Ich lerne Deutsch, in Deutschland zu arbeiten. I am learning German in order to work in Germany. So friends, why I am learning? Because there is a purpose. I want to go to Germany and work there. So zu comes in a subordinate clause when the question being asked with warum. And one point you also have to keep in your mind, in the subordinate clause you have to start the sentence with and zu plus infinitive comes at the extreme end. Okay, I hope that you have understood this point, this example. The second example, warum geht früh ins Bett? Geht früh ins Bett, genug Schlaf zu haben. He goes to bed early in order to have enough sleep. So there is a reason to go early in the bed because he want to have enough sleep. Next phrase, warum macht sie viel Sport? Sie macht viel Sport, gesund zu bleiben. She exercises plenty in order to stay healthy. So in this example, you have seen that there is a reason to doing the sports because she want to be fit. She wants to be healthy. So friends, when the question is being asked with warum, then we use zu plus infinitive thing in the subordinate clause. So you can see here the subordinate clause starts with and zu plus infinitive goes at the extreme end, which I have just explained you. You do not need to conjugate the infinitive verb. Now see some more examples. Warum sparen seine Eltern viel Geld? Seine Eltern sparen viel Geld, ein Haus einzukaufen. His parents save money in order to buy a house. So there is a purpose to save the money because they are intended, they wish to buy their own house. So in this example, friends, please note in the second clause I have used a separable verb. So when you use a separable verb, a trennbaren verb with zu plus infinitive, then you have to write first prefix, then zu, and then the main verb. So einkaufen is a separable verb, then first comes to ein, then zu, and then kaufen. Okay, so this is another grammar part which you have to keep in mind while using the separable verb. Noch ein anderes Beispiel, warum ruft den Vater an? Der Vater ruft an, seinen Sohn etwas Wichtiges zu sagen. The father calls to tell his son something important. So there is a reason that a father is calling to his son because he wants to share some important information. The next one, warum reist die Familie nach Paris? Die Familie reist nach Paris, den Eiffelturm zu sehen. The family is traveling to Paris in order to see the Eiffel Tower. Perhaps they have planned way back, so they are going to Paris. There is a reason, because they want to see the Eiffel Tower. Okay friends, now see the last example of today's session. Warum nimmt die Hilfe? Er nimmt die Hilfe, seine Noten zu verbessern. He takes the help in order to improve his grades. So friends, in these examples you have noticed, you have seen that comes at the starting of the subordinate clause and zu plus infinitive comes at the extreme end. So when there is a purpose to doing some task, then we use zu infinitive grammar term. In the next slide, we see what we have learned in today's video in summarized form. Die Zusammenfassung. Key differences between zu and zu. At the top you can see feature zu plus infinitive, zu plus infinitive. So at the beginning of the session we have learned when we answer to a question was, then we use zu plus infinitive, and in zu plus infinitive answers to questions warum. And the second type of clause, so in zu plus infinitive, the main clause and the infinitive clause, which also known as subordinate clause. So zu plus infinitive comes at the extreme end, and in zu plus infinitive, the main clause and the final clause, which means the purpose clause. When there is some purpose to doing some task, then we use zu plus infinitive. And the third, we have seen structure. Main clause zu plus infinitive, the infinitive verb comes to the end, and this is also same with zu plus infinitive. Main clause, then zu plus infinitive at the end. So you have to write at the starting, and zu plus infinitive comes at the extreme end. For example, Beispiel, zu plus infinitive, ich versuche Deutsch zu lernen. I try to learn German. Suppose somebody asks me, was versuchen Sie? Then I can answer, ich versuche Deutsch zu lernen. I try to learn German, because I am answering to a question was. And in zu plus infinitive, warum lerne ich Deutsch? Ich lerne Deutsch, in Deutschland zu studieren. I learn German in order to study in Germany. So friend, that was today's session about the detailed explanation of difference between zu plus infinitive and zu plus infinitive. I hope that you have understood this concept very easily. The examples, the phrases which I have used throughout the session. But still, if you have any problem, then you can contact me through messages. I am also available for you, and I'll revert you. And at the end of the session, I would like to say thanks for watching the complete video. And I will request you to like, comment, share and subscribe, support the channel, share with others, recommend to others. My name is Jatinder Singh, and if you're interested to learn German, then you can contact me on my number which is there on the screen. I'll meet you in the next grammar topic. Take care of yourself, bleiben Sie gesund und glücklich, lernen Sie Deutsch, nur an die German Mentor. Wir treffen uns sehr bald. Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen.